If you're a woman with celiac disease and you found weight loss harder than you expected it to be, you're not imagining it, and no one ever talks about why. In this video, I'm breaking down exactly why weight loss can feel harder for us and the 3-step plan you can use to fix it. But why on earth should you listen to me? Hi, I'm Ella, I'm celiac myself, and I've lost 15 kilos now and kept it off. And I also coach other celiac women on how to do exactly the same thing. I had a really tough time after my diagnosis. I gained weight very, very quickly, and little did I know, this is completely normal. There's a stereotype in the celiac community that unexplained weight loss is a huge symptom. And for a lot of people, that is a huge struggle. However, so many of us struggle with gaining weight post-diagnosis or just struggling to lose weight throughout our whole life as well. I'm passionate about giving you the support you actually need around your celiac life because let's be honest, we're not given any from the GP. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss another video. Before we get into the 3-step weight loss system, let's explain why celiac disease can make weight loss feel harder. At the bare bones, weight loss for celiacs still comes down to being in a calorie deficit, just like it does for everybody else. The difference for celiacs is that our unique challenges around health and food make it way harder for us to actually stick to this calorie deficit. When your gut's damaged, this can lead to nutrient deficiencies, and unfortunately, a big symptom of nutrient deficiencies is low energy. And when our energy crashes, we reach for sugary snacks to help us pick things up and get through the day. Physical symptoms like digestive discomfort, joint pain, and inflammation can make exercise feel impossible. And not to mention the fatigue, the brain fog can make it hard to even find the motivation to get started. And on top of all of that, switching to this restrictive medical diet can have a huge impact on our relationship with food and eating behaviors. In my case, for example, I comfortate massively after my diagnosis on free from cakes, biscuits, crisps, anything to help me feel less restricted. It's also really common for us to struggle with food anxiety, which leads to us packing lots of emergency snacks, eating extra things before we leave the house, and just overeating in general out of no fault of our own. So long story short, most weight loss advice out there is designed for people with a fully functioning gut, no autoimmune symptoms, and no fear or difficulties around their relationship with food due to a medical diet. So whether you've gained weight after your diagnosis and you're struggling to lose it, or you've struggled with yo-yo dieting throughout your whole life, it is not your fault. You've just never experienced the right support to stay consistent around your symptoms and to navigate your gluten-free diet properly. But don't worry, we're going to change that today. So I'd love to introduce you to my 3-step system, which I like to call the Celiac Weight Loss Pyramid. 3 levels that work together to help you lose weight and keep it off without burning out or feeling even more restricted than we already do. So let's start with the base of the pyramid, the most important level, your celiac health. This is more of the boring level, and it's something that lots of people like to skip and rush to quick fixes, diet pills, shakes, extreme exercise, but that's not what we're doing here. We're going to get the basics right first because our physical health is the foundation of our progress. So we need to be doing everything we can to get it in the best position possible. So there are 3 main things we need to focus on in this health level. Number 1, cross-contamination. Remember, even tiny, minuscule amounts of gluten can trigger an autoimmune response in us. So we need to be doing everything we can to avoid it as much as possible, which means asking the right questions when we eat out, making sure that restaurants are safe for celiacs, that they're not using shared fryers, that they're not cross-contaminating our food, and we need to make sure that we are advocating for ourselves with those around us. So if you live with people who eat gluten, make sure to separate your food, label your food, and really, really strongly communicate the importance of reducing cross-contamination for your overall health. And then this is a little bit of a controversial one, but we want to avoid may contains where possible. So a may contain label may contain gluten or made in a factory that handles gluten. Yes, it may technically be safe, but we never know. It's literally like Russian roulette. So make sure that if you've not actually contacted the manufacturer to check, the risk of that product containing gluten, that you're just avoiding it, because these days we have so many options, luckily in the UK especially, so we actually don't need to eat may contains. It is not necessary for our health. It's not necessary at all. There's lots of other options we can have, so my advice would be to avoid them. Number 2, blood testing and supplementing deficiencies. So because of the malabsorption in celiac disease, we are prone to iron deficiencies, B12 deficiencies, vitamin D, calcium, magnesium, and zinc. So we need to be regularly blood testing to make sure that we can take the right supplements to support our overall levels. Remember that vitamin and iron deficiencies have a whole host of symptoms. They can affect your mental health, your mood, which therefore affects your motivation when it comes to weight loss. They can affect your energy levels, which will affect your motivation, but also your ability to exercise, to cook, to follow your plans. And then they also affect your physical health as well. So your joints and your muscles. So in order for us to get the best weight loss results, we have to make sure that we are supplementing our deficiencies. And these can only be diagnosed through blood tests. So if you've not had one in years, this is your sign to give your GP a call and get one booked in. You should be able to have a blood test at absolute minimum once per year. But if you are having any symptoms, that's a sign that you need to be booked in. And number 3, we have sleep. Sleep is the bread and butter of progress when it comes to recovery. So if your sleep's in a bad place, this can impact your mental health, your physical health, your digestion, your hormones. So it's something that we can't just sweep under the rug if we're having issues with it. It's something that we need to get under control. For most women, we're able to function well on 7 to 9 hours of sleep. However, everybody is different with this. Some people are okay with 7 hours, some people need slightly more. But if you're someone that struggles with your energy levels, please, please, please have more of a focus on your sleep and wake times. So getting in as much of an even routine as you can. Obviously, it's not always possible with shift work, but making sure that you are doing your absolute best to accommodate and to make sure that you are getting 7 to 9 hours sleep per night. You can look into magnesium supplements to help you. You can make sure that you are wearing an eye mask to keep out the light. And the biggest one is giving yourself that time to wind down where possible. So if you're doom scrolling on TikTok in bed at night, like, this is not going to help you wind down and get some high quality sleep. So try your best to start getting a little bit slow. Have a hot shower about an hour before bed. And even if it means reading a book or watching a film instead of doom scrolling on your phone, go ahead and do that, because sleep is literally what is going to make you stick to your plan in the future in the best way possible. So once we are solidly working on our physical health, we can move on to level 2 of the pyramid, which is nutrition. So what are the top 3 things you need to consider when it comes to food to see sustainable weight loss as a celiac? So number 1, protein and fiber. A big problem celiacs have is when they switch to a gluten-free diet, they often lose nutrients elsewhere because we're changing our food choices, and obviously we are having to restrict certain food groups. So often gluten-free alternative products are very, very low in protein and fiber. So it's something we need to intentionally bring up. Protein and fiber are what keep us full. So if you've ever been hungry whilst dieting, it's likely because you are not eating enough of these macronutrients. So what we want to think about is getting as much protein as we can throughout the day. So I'm talking in your breakfast, lunch and dinner. You need to look to have a protein source. So protein powder is great to have once a day. Chicken, meat, fish, lentils, chickpeas are all great sources of protein. Tofu, if you're vegetarian, as well. So making sure to actively make an effort to put these in your meals will help you feel satiated, and it will also help you maintain your muscle mass whilst losing weight. So if we don't eat enough protein, we can end up losing muscle as well as fat. So make sure to have a protein source in each meal. Overall, the general guidance is to have 1 gram per pound of your goal body weight of protein per day. If you struggle with meal ideas, feel free to join the Celiac Wellness Club. It's a community I run for celiac women who are working on their health and fitness. We share lots of high protein recipes in that group, so be sure to join there. And then another nutrient that we often miss out on when we switch to gluten-free life and our gluten-free diet is fiber, simply because most people get a lot of fiber from whole grains and we can't have those anymore. We cannot have gluten-containing grains anymore. So instead, we want to focus on bringing fiber in through fruits, vegetables, pulses and chia seeds as well. So some examples of high fiber fruits: banana, raspberries, and then with vegetables, having a diverse range of vegetables is great, but things like broccoli, avocado are fantastic as well. Just making sure that we're having a nice variety of fruit and veg throughout the day can really, really help us pick that fiber intake up. Chia seeds are also a really, really great one. So if you're a celiac who can't have oats, things like chia pudding can be an absolute fantastic option if you're wanting something sweet too. When it comes to fiber, we want to aim to get towards 25 grams per day. However, if you rapidly increase your fiber intake, something to be conscious of is this can cause a little bit of bloating and digestive discomfort. So increasing it gradually is the way forwards. Number 2, so as long as you're making sure that you are having enough protein and fiber in your diet, you can then put yourself into something called a calorie deficit. So a calorie deficit is the only way we can lose weight. Essentially, it means we are eating less calories than we're burning on a daily basis. So one reason that I personally gained weight after my diagnosis, and a lot of celiac women also struggle with, is because we have to go for high calorie options when there are no other options available. So for example, we often can't have meal deals at lunchtime. We can't have quick food on the go. So we go for things like chocolate bars, crisps, to keep us going throughout the day. And these don't fill us up. So we have more and more of them, and this increases our calorie intake. So in order to make sure that we are able to stick to a calorie deficit, we have to track our calories, and in our case, meal planning and prepping is the absolute best way forwards to avoid situations on the go where we do have to just grab a little bit here and there, which leaves us hungry and wanting to snack throughout the day. So in order to work out how much you need to eat to be in a calorie deficit, you can use online macro calculators and then track your calories on apps like MyFitnessPal to make sure that you are hitting those numbers. It can be a little bit daunting to begin with. However, if you need any extra help, again, you can join the Celiac Wellness Club and ask for advice in there. There are lots of tips and resources on weight loss and sticking to your calorie deficit as a celiac woman. The one thing to be conscious of when it comes to dieting as a celiac is that we don't want to be doing anything too aggressive. Okay, we want to aim for a weight loss of around 0.5 to 1% of body weight per week. This is a nice sustainable rate of loss, and this isn't going to have a negative impact on your fatigue and your overall cognitive function and the way you feel. And then number 3, a really, really important part of building a sustainable weight loss journey as a celiac is maintaining the mindset that you can have everything you want in moderation, obviously, as long as it's gluten-free. So we already have to live with a restrictive medical diet every single day of our lives as celiacs, so we don't need to bring in too much unnecessary restriction by cutting out every food we like just because we're on a diet. It's not sustainable. That's too much restriction for us. So what's important is calorie tracking, because you can actually include foods that you do enjoy whilst knowing that you're not going over your goals. So if you like some chocolate in the evening, you can absolutely have that, because we can modify your meals throughout the day to account for the calories at the end of the day to have a little bit more chocolate. So as long as you're getting your vitamins and minerals, your protein, your fiber, carbs, fats, if you've got room to have these extras in, you can absolutely have them. Don't unnecessarily restrict yourself. We've got enough of that going on already. So once we've got our health in place, our nutrition in place, that's when we can think about the top level of the pyramid, movement. So something that I want to make really, really clear here, and it goes the same with what I said about protein and fiber. These are not just things we need to be doing because we're dieting, because we want to lose weight. These should be non-negotiables for our long-term physical and mental health. So we have certain health risks because of our celiac disease when it comes to bone and muscle health. So unfortunately, especially when diagnosed with celiac disease in adulthood, we're at an elevated risk of developing something called osteoporosis, a bone density condition. So exercising is one of the most important things that you can do to keep your body functioning in the best possible way, whether you want to lose weight or not. So I really, really want to make that clear here. So the most important form of exercise for your long-term health, but also your long-term weight loss results, is something called strength training. So strength training is anything from lifting your body weight to lifting weights at the gym or at home as well. Weight-bearing exercise is what increases our bone density, and it's also what helps us build strength and muscle. which is brilliant if you've experienced weakness or pain or inflammation as a symptom. It can really, really help with those. However, building muscle actually increases your metabolism. So it helps us keep that weight off long term, which is obviously super, super important, because if we're working hard to see that progress, we want it to last. We want these results to last. And that's often a mistake lots of people make, is they focus so much on cardio, forget about strength training, and actually strength training is what's going to get us those long-term results. So that's really, really important. So for strength training, I'd recommend doing this 2 to 3 times per week, and just start with where you're at. So if you've never done anything before and you're not feeling very confident, you don't have to go into a gym. You don't have to lift weights. You can do home bodyweight workouts on YouTube that are 10 minutes long, just to get you started, because something is always better than nothing. And then if you are more confident, you can grab some dumbbells, you could use those at home, or you can head to the gym and use some machines and use some free weights as well. So it's a spectrum. Obviously, as you build your confidence up over time, you'll want to lift heavier. And as your strength builds over time, you'll probably end up wanting to go to the gym, which is brilliant. But don't put too much pressure on yourself to get there right at the start. It's not necessary. Go at your own pace. And if you need help with that, again, there's lots of resources in the Celiac Wellness Club too. So number 2, alongside strength training, cardio is an important form of exercise. It's just that women often jump to cardio and forget about weights. So we need to be doing both of them, not just one or the other. And when it comes to cardio, there are a couple of considerations to think about, especially if you're somebody that struggles with physical symptoms of celiac disease, from fatigue to joint pain to inflammation. So we want to avoid high intensity circuits, classes, body pump classes, if you're experiencing those symptoms, because they could trigger flare-ups, okay? We don't need to be doing anything aggressive with lots of running and jumping. If you're already experiencing pain, or you're already struggling to get through the day because of your energy, we don't want to be doing something like that. Instead, we can opt for low intensity, steady state cardio. So things like a incline treadmill walk, swimming, going on the bike, doing things like the elliptical can be a great option. And you want to aim to do this for 20 minutes all the way up to an hour, slowly working up as your fitness improves over time. And number 3 for movement, the most important form of movement is actually not related to workouts at all when it comes to fat loss. It's actually a step count, okay? So your daily step count has a huge impact on your fat loss results. So to see some amazing progress, I want you to look at the Health app on your phone. And if you're currently doing 5,000 steps a day, I want you to try your best to boost that to 7,000 to 8,000 steps per day. Looking to increase your daily step count from 2,000 to 3,000 per day is a great starting point to boost your daily energy burn. And a high step count and a non-sedentary lifestyle is also associated with lots of long-term health outcomes and better mental health as well. I recommend getting outside to do this if you can. However, if you're watching this in the winter months, you can search up on YouTube home step workouts. So for example, you could type in 3,000 step workout and it will come up with a 15-minute workout you can do at home in your living room. So you don't need fancy treadmills to get your steps done. You just need to be a little bit savvy with the time that you do have. So there we go. We've gone through all 3 levels of the celiac weight loss pyramid of progress, shall we call it. So I hope that you found this video very useful. And as long as if you have the mindset of prioritizing your health first, then your nutrition, then your exercise, this is what is going to get you the most sustainable results. And this is how you are going to actually start seeing progress. So if you have any questions at all on anything that I've mentioned, feel free to drop a comment below. But as I've said a few times throughout this video, there are lots of free resources on weight loss with celiac disease within the Celiac Wellness Club community, which is a group of celiac women on Facebook, and I run this community. It's full of resources, education, and group chats where we just help each other out with recommendations or just general struggles that come up with celiac life too. So feel free to join, it's completely free, and you can check out everything in there. So thank you for watching. I hope this was helpful, and subscribe for more celiac content. Bye guys.